Chag Sameach and Shabbat Shalom to all of you. You know, the problem with Pesach is the translation of the name Pesach. You know, that it has been translated as Passover, and really has a little bit more than the meaning. What I would like to bring to you is that this Pesach that was that we read in Shemot chapter 12 was done only one time, and only one time alone. That had not been repeated at all. Okay? What we do is memorialize, but we don't do it. And you are going to be surprised when I'm going to tell you, but the Haggadah that we have today, that our dear sages and Rabbi have developed through the years, has nothing to do with the original Pesach, in the sense that it is not what the Pesach was, and has changed completely from our times to the times in which 2,000 years ago, when our Messiah Yeshua celebrated. It is interesting too to understand that many things have changed. And it's very easy to look backwards instead to look from the beginning to the end. And that's when we are going to see the development. We have the natural understanding of certain things, and we love to allegorize, and allegorizations become reality to us and become real things. Like that is what the creators say or did, when it has nothing to do with the Torah. You know, for example, I love to celebrate the 4 cups. I would love to celebrate other things. But that's not in Torah. That is totally a rabbinical interpretation that they have been trying to teach us in a very pedagogical way this very important memorial, Pesach. But what is Pesach? Bottom line, Pesach. What is the meaning for Israel, for our people, for us? What is the Creator wanted so important that needed to memorialize in that way? You know, that is the first, in chapter 12, the first commandment that the Creator gives to the people of Israel. This festival is the first festival. It starts in the beginning of the years. You know, our sages, through their tradition, have changed. What is the first day of first month of the year? It's not any longer Nisan. Now it's Tishrei. But in order today, we have 4 years, 4 new years. You know, and looks like very funny sometimes, but it's not funny. Because the truth of the matter is that every time that we change the Torah for the word of men, we are getting away from the Creator, from the Borei Olam. And this is what I would like that you understand about Yeshua. Because at this time that I am talking to you, in the Gentile world, are doing presentations that to me, I'm sorry to say, with due respect, but I need to say, to me, they are awful. The representation. It's like the people enjoy or rejoice about suffering and blood and things like that. It's like it's morbid in certain ways. And the problem is, because of that, 2 people have been separated. And they have separated by the name of Yeshua and Jesus Christ. You see? And many of us Jewish people, who we have received the understanding that Yeshua ben Joseph came as the anointed one on his time to bring his people, Israel, back to Torah, and was taken away from his people and became a function of the Gentile world, and they characterize in a totally different way. And not only that, but they change who he really was. And they made something that never existed. And that is the problem to try to understand Yeshua HaMashiach, Yeshua the Anointed, with Jesus Christ. Because they are totally two different entities. One is an historical being, and the other it is a theological invention. My job for many years, for almost 25 years here in this community, have been to try to bring together both people to the centrality of Yeshua and to understand him. My people, the Jewish people, have learned to hate. And that's very sad. To this part, to speak against this Jesus Christ. And speaking against that Jesus Christ, they have marred the image of Yeshua. A righteous, a tzaddik Jew, a teacher, a rabbi, and a prophet, the anointed one. And to me it's sad because we as Jewish people, one of the things that we understand is that we do not need to use Lashon Ra. But we are reacting to the other environment, or the creation of this entity called Jesus Christ. That it is a theological creation of the Gentile world. And they have been trying by all means to make it Jewish. And there has nothing of Jewishness there. And our job, our love, my desire is that these two communities come together because of Yeshua. But the real Yeshua. One time I received a book that was called, Please, the True Jesus Stand Up. And there were three Jesus. One looked like a rabbi that was in the center. In the other side was one all with a crown and crucified and bleeding. And the other side was a Greek philosopher. I said, which one of these three is the real Yeshua? It was very obvious that they wanted to portray that each group can see it in the way they want it. You know, it's very interesting in the world, when they look at the picture of Yeshua, there are some people who say he was a great man, a great teacher, you know, a Jew. Others say, oh, he was the God incarnated, no? Who died for the sins of the world. That is supposedly Pesach. And in the Middle East, he was a rabbi who came to bring his people back to Torah. And that's how we need to focus him today. No more and no less than that. Why? Because he was one of the greatest among the history of the Jewish people. Sometimes I could say that even bigger than Moshe Rabbeinu, because of how his mere presence has changed the world. And it is a fact, not something that I am trying to invent, even in the wrong way, but it has been changed. But for the Jewish people, I say this. Yeshua was a tzaddik, was a righteous man, and he didn't do anything to try to destroy Israel. Totally the contrary. He wanted to bring Israel back to the Creator, to the Borei Olam. He wanted to bring his people back to Torah. And to the Gentiles, who has created this Jesus Christ. I want to tell you, you can worship a creation of your imagination, but that cannot replace the Creator. And interestingly enough, Yeshua never tried to replace the Creator with himself or with something else. And this is why Pesach is so important to understand it today. Because the Pesach is a festival of redemption. What it means, redemption? What it means to redeem? But basically, come from the idea to bring you back to, like a teshuvah and korban and all those terms, to make you anew, to bring you back from what you were before, and you are not any longer. And the greatest problem that we don't face it sometimes that we do not understand is about the problem of slavery. By the way, this problem of slavery today, in the 2018, in this generation, slavery is very alive. And they're very sophisticated sometimes, but this is slavery. You're going to see in certain places slavery of women, children, slavery of technology, slavery of wealth, a different type of slaveries. Slaveries even of philosophical understanding and religious positions. And it's exactly that what the Creator came to bring Israel out of that environment that has totally dulled their understanding of his people. We need to understand this. That's very important to me. Israel was taken out of Egypt, but Egypt stayed with Israel for still today. We have part of Egypt. What I'm trying to tell you, the Creator redeemed us, took us out of slavery. But the slavery concept didn't come out from us. And many of us, we are still a slave. Even though we have been redeemed, we do not understand that redemption. Because we are still going back or looking back to Egypt. One time when I was talking to all of you, say to you, where is your Egypt? Where do you keep your Egypt? Where is the area that you want to keep coming back, instead to get rid of them? What is holding you back? What is doesn't allow you to be yourself anymore? And you want to see that all of us, we have our Egypt. And we need to fight. Do you know, and I challenge this to many people, do you know there is no any part in the story of Exodus, in Shemot, in which the people of Israel asked the Creator to get out of Egypt? It was for Israel, Israel will stay in Egypt. The only thing that they wanted was a better treatment, a more humane treatment. But they were happy and very comfortable in that way. And their slave mentality was so settled that they couldn't change. It was because of that the Creator literally forced the Egyptians, listen this carefully, was the eternal God, our Boreolam, blessed be his name, who forced the Egyptians finally to get rid of the Israel. You see, Israel didn't live because I want to live, and I am happy living and singing like you see the Ten Commandments movie. Be careful when you see the movies. They can take you to the wrong place. It's interesting. I wrote in the, I'm looking for my, I always, yeah, please. Thank you. I put it someplace, but I don't know where I put it. And I need to read it. See. Last week, I wrote an excerpt, and you have all in your bulletin. And I say, at this time of Pesach, I would like that we recite Psalms 139, 23, 24. Search me, O God, and know my heart. Try me and know my thoughts, and see if there be any way in me that is grievous, and lead me in the way of everlasting. Psalms 139, 23, and 24. Where we ask him, the Creator, to search our hearts, to see our intention, the kavanah in us, to search our heart and show us the areas in our lives that hold us back from walking with him. Let us remember that the only thing that the Creator is asking us to do is not to eat at this time of the year leaven. Okay? Our traditions has added so many not to do's that sometimes Pesach becomes very, very heavy. In Spanish, sometimes we say, Pesach llega a ser pesado. Okay? There is a rhythm with the word. That becomes heavy because of the do's and don'ts. And we get lost, okay, to eat, and not only to eat leaven. Everything else is pure, mere religion, tradition, mesorah, whatever you want to call it. Be careful not to be distracted by all the rules and regulations of men, which will take you away from the true message of Pesach. You are so worried about what you can eat or you cannot eat, what you can see or you cannot see, how do you serve it, how you don't serve, how many plates do you put in the siddur, you know, how many do you do the Hillel sandwich or you don't do the Hillel sandwich, you do the Kodesh and you do the Haroset, or how you do it, you know, all those things. What is first and what is second? How many times we wash our hands, the first or the second, which we bless and which not bless? You know, there are so many. And you lose totally the concept and the idea why you are there. This regulation of men which will take you away from the true message of Pesach. What it means, interestingly enough, it's a time of freedom. Can you see the opposite? Can you see what religion brings to you? Religion, instead to be a way of freedom, is a way of slavery. And when you become more religious, I don't know how many times I have repeated this, you become more far away from the Creator. And you think you are serving the Creator, and the only one that you are serving is yourself, because you are feeling good about yourself. The time of freedom, Rabbi. And our Rabbi Yashuv told us, you shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free. Don't look in the Greek way. Look at in the Hebrew way. You shall know the Creator. You will have a relationship with the Creator. And because of that, you are going to be free of all those religions. Because when you are walking with Him, you don't need anything extra. What do you think needs extras to encase, to cover up? But when we are in the presence of the Creator, we are totally naked, physically and spiritually, because He can see through us. No one of us can deceive Him. Even many times when we play the religion game, we think that we are deceiving Him. I put my face of good. I put on my face of self-righteousness. I put my face of goody, goody, goody. And what happened? It's all mascara. That in the Greek language they call it hypocrisy. We put a mask. You don't need a mask with the Creator because He can see you even behind the mask. And then, this message I wrote here is simple, but it's not easy. There is nothing better than being korban to the Creator. In other words, there's nothing better than to be close to the Creator. That is Pesach. Redemptive, freedom. And the first freedom that you need to have is from whom? From yourself. Some of us, we are so a slave of ourselves that we cannot enjoy life. We have fear to breathe. We have fear to get out. We have fear to go this. We have fear of what the people are going to say about us. We have fear to speak. We have fear to everything. You know why sometimes we as a community, we are not so popular? Because we do not offer anybody hocus pocus. But what we offer is a true relationship with the Creator. What we offer is a true relationship with yourself. And we offer is a true relationship with each other. We don't need to play any longer the game of hypocrisy. We don't need to play the game of holier than thou. We don't need to play the game, you know what? Peace and love for the world. Right now, at this moment that I am talking to you, in Israel, there is a very difficult time. If you read the news, sometimes it's very sad. And to me, it's sad for two reasons. You know, the Christian people in that land, they are against Israel. Even though they know that the Muslim people are killing them. And they only have freedom when they are in Israel. Because when they are in the Arab area, the Muslim area, they are killed and turned down. They have been killed by the Muslims. And they are defending the Muslims against Israel. The Pope cannot talk at all about how they are killing their own people. He talks about what is happening in other places. He doesn't protest. But we in Israel, we defend our own. And right now they have created in the area of Gaza a protest. I heard the president of the Palestinian saying this was a peaceful demonstration and Israel has killed our people. I wish that you see the pictures. They come with weapons, they throw bombs. And they threw rocks too. And rocks kill, by the way. Ask David Hamelech. And you know what? Now the United Nations is condemning Israel for defending themselves. No one word of accusation to Hamas, to the Palestinians. No word of accusation to the Syrians who are killing their own people and others who they are not like them. No word of accusation about the Turkish people that are killing other people, the other people, the Kurds. No one word to the North Korea. No one word to Russia, who took over and took a land that belonged to them. No one word to the Venezuelans. Israel. In this last moment that I am talking to you, the United Nations passed 12 sanctions against Israel, and the rest of the world, there were only 5. Something wrong is happening in this world. We still have the Egypt in us. All the world needs to get rid of Egypt. And when I say Egypt, I am not talking about the country, I'm talking about the makeup of thinking. Putting other gods, putting other things instead of the Creator. Let me go back to Yeshua. Because I want that you understand about Yeshua from my point of view. You know, we had made a big deal about his martyrdom of being killed and being crucified, you know, in a horrible death. Martyrdom. But I want that you understand this. Look at from the historical perspective, not from the religion perspective. Who was Yeshua? A tzaddik, a true righteous man, a teacher, a rabbi, who came to Israel to bring Israel back to Torah. And what did he find himself in Israel? Exactly what we have today. The very powerful organized religion. Let me tell you, here in Canada, the organized religion is so powerful that if you are not part of the organized religion, you are nobody. Nobody take you in consideration. You need to be part of the organized religion. They tell you what to do, what not to do, and they have even sometimes more power than the government itself. And you supposedly you criticize the organized religion, they call you names. And even they stop talking to you. They shut your mouth. And they threatening you with jail or with some punishment. Well, at the time of Yeshua was no different. The organized religion was there. And he came not to the Gentiles, not to the Goyim. He came to his own people, Israel. And he started speaking to the Am Eretz, to the very simple people. Because the religious people didn't want to hear him because he was shaking their foundations. Because he was saying to them, you are a bunch of hypocrites. You dress all white, but inside you are darker than anything else. And what about the Beit Mikdash? Who were there? Who was the Hagadol Kohen at the time? Well, no any longer a very special Aaronic relationship, was aristocracy who has money to buy the place. And to whom they buy the place? To the Romans. What do you think about the people who left Jerusalem and went to the desert? What about them? The Qumran people. Huh? They call it Essenes, but sometimes we don't know exactly that is the term of them. There are many things, but for the sake only to give a name, the Essenes. Do you know that the Essenes, the great majority of Essenes were Kohanim or Leviim, and they left the Beit Midrash, they left the temple, because they say that the temple has already been desecrated. That's the reason that they didn't look to the temple. And this is Yochanan McBillin, or John the Mercer of the Baptist, when they call it Christianity. He was a Kohen, but I left them and became part of the Qumran people. And why he was doing mikvah in the river? Because now the mikvah in the temple was not good enough for them, because the temple had lost the sacredness for them. And we are not talking about Gentiles. We are talking about righteous Jews that they have problems with the status quo, with the organized religion. And when Yeshua came to talk to the organized religion, and I say, you need to shape yourself, you need to regroup and to make it right, what the people did? We need to kill him. It goes against our interests. That was the reason that he was killed. And in order to make that accusation work at the time of Yeshua, the Israel didn't have the right to do the death penalty. Only the Romans could do. And the Romans at that time, they had better than the electric chair. They loved the crucifixion. Many people think that only Yeshua was crucified. And many think that there were only 3 crucified with Yeshua. At the day that Yeshua was crucified, there were thousands. The line, the entrance to Rome, to Jerusalem. And why he was crucified? Because the religious status quo accused him of sedition to the Romans. Because if they accuse him of religious revolt, nothing will happen to him. Then they needed to give an accusation, a legal accusation for the Pax Romana. Pax Romana. And he became a political agitator. He became like a zealot. He wanted the independence of Israel from Rome, and he never asked that. Because for him, the true freedom is not which government you are. The true freedom comes from within in your relationship with the Creator. And the truth of the matter is that we have lost perspective about why Yeshua really was killed. And there was a, what you call it, a confabulation, a complot, but there is a collusion between the upper class, religious upper class of Israel. Look at religious upper class of Israel, we, the government of that time. Do you know that right now Israel has the same problem? Israel has a hierarchical religious system that is so powerful that dominates the government of Israel. I ask this question, why Israel doesn't become a secular state? They will have a better life. Because in that way, the people who follow the Creator will be sincere, not forced by fear. Because you follow God not because you are imposed, you follow God because it's in you. That's the freedom that we need to talk about, the redemption of our people today. Like I say, Yeshua say, is don't point your finger to the eye of your neighbor that has a little speckle in his eyes. Look, the big log that you have in your own eye. Like people say, don't point somebody because there are three fingers back toward you. Let me go back again to this festival of freedom and redemption, that's Pesach. Are you free of the pollution of the Egypt that you left, or you are still wanted to go back to your own Egypt? Are you working to get out of that pollution? Because you see, all of us, without exception, we have been polluted. There's a reason that I no always see it. That's the reason that I read to you at the beginning, Psalm 139, 23 and 24. Search me, O God, and look within me, and see what are the things that are holding me back, and show me in order that I don't do it anymore. And in that way, I can have the freedom to worship you in truth. We can say that we are free? We can say that we are going through that way? Which Jesus do you believe on? On Yeshua or on Jesus Christ? Do you believe in the God of Israel, or do you believe in the God of the world? Today, in this generation that we are living, believe me or not, even that most of the people tell you that they are more free than ever, they are more a slave than ever. Today, more and more, we are losing the right to speak freely. More and more, the greatest nation like Canada, like the United States, like the European countries, you are not allowed to say the truth. Because that means that you are talking hatredness. You are talking bad about others. Now, the new world it is, be blind and accept everything that they tell you and don't open your mouth. That's not the world I want to live in. The Creator took us out of Egypt against our own will because He wanted to give us a better life. And that's what I propose to all of you. Take away your own pollution, open your eyes, search your heart, ask the Creator to guide you to the right way. And be grateful to what our Messiah Yeshua, our teacher, our Rabbi, as a prophet, told us to go back to Torah. Not like sometimes they teach you that you need to get away from Torah. Totally the contrary. Go back. The 10 basic commandments, the 10 words, are the basics for our liberation. Shabbat Shalom.
Again, Shabbat Shalom, everybody.
Shabbat Shalom.
Now we enter the part where we have a chance to talk about what we were blessed to hear an old message from our rabbi, and it's interesting because he's talking about what was going on. Now, this was in 5778. He passed away in 5780, so that was 2 years later. And they were all having problems back then. Just today, I don't know what he would say if he saw what was going on around the world in Israel. And, you know, one of the things that people have said to us, why do you even mention Yeshua in your congregation, in your teaching? Because that will keep people away. A lot of people will leave if you don't acknowledge that Yeshua is the Messiah, or that Yeshua is God, or that he's part of the Holy Trinity. He's part of, it's interesting that when Yeshua lived in Rome at the time of as Rabbi said, the Pax Romana, at the time of Rome, there was no Christianity.
What do you mean when Yeshua never lived in Rome?
Oh, no, sorry, you're right. Excuse me. When he lived at the time of the Romans.
Right, okay.
Yes. Hello, Mauricio. Welcome back. I hope you had a good week. Shalom, shalom. So, but when Yeshua lived at the time of the Romans, it was really hard on the people. And one of the things that he said was that exactly the same as it is today. The Orthodox religion, and I'm not only going to say Judaism, because every Orthodox religion is are power mongers. They want power. They look like they're doing the right things. They look like they're bringing us closer to God. But are they bringing us closer to God, or are they bringing us closer to religious rules and regulations that they have added to supersede or to make themselves higher than God? Even, I remember Rabbi saying that the rabbis themselves have said that if there are more rabbis who can see the scriptures in a different way than God himself, they have given themselves the right to change it, even though the Torah says, do not add and do not take away anything from my words. But that's really hard to explain to people because we've all been brainwashed. That's our Egypt. All we know are the religions. So many in my family say, "Oh, you've become religious now." And they don't realize that I am not religious, although I do have areas where I'm very strict on myself.
Well, when they say religious, they're talking about even just God. Do you believe in God? That's what people in our day said. Are you religious? Meaning, do you believe in God? They don't mean it.
Yes, some of them do. They think that I'm religious. They're not relating it always to God. Some may.
Okay.
Yeah, some may, but some don't. I just heard that this morning talking to someone.
Okay.
And that person said, "Well, I'm sorry, I'm not as religious as you. I don't keep all the things of Pesach,
Right.
of Passover. I don't keep those things." She preferred the Easter bunny, the Easter eggs, because they're more fun. But the sad thing for me is that what it does is when people who were in an Orthodox religion, whether it be Christianity or any other religions, Judaism, when they leave it, they don't have a place to go. They don't know how to express a belief in a creator because that creator in their minds is attached to all the rules and religions that their religion taught them. And if they saw the hypocrisy, then they don't know what else to do. And unfortunately, in Judaism, where our doors are not open to those people. We build bridges. We build bridges between Christianity and Judaism, but we don't say, "You're one of us." We don't say to them, You're a ger. And like it says in Numbers 15, everything written in Torah is also for you. We don't tell them that. We tell them, well, you have to convert if you want to be part of us, or else you keep your own God. You have your Jesus Christ, and we have our God. But both of them are missing who Yeshua was. And it was interesting because Rabbi said he even considers Yeshua, he didn't say greater than Moses, but I think the word he used was even bigger. I can't remember exactly what he said, but
Yeah, we're
it's
suggesting something that even
yeah, because Yeshua, if you look at the world today, Yeshua changed everything in the world. Even our calendar is based on before Christ and after the year of our Lord, it's called. The Jews say BCE and before the Common Era, um, but they don't recognize the Yeshua of his day as bringing us back to what Moses taught us and opening the door for the Gentiles to come and be a part of the Commonwealth of Israel. That is so awesome. That is what makes us equal. Our roles may be different, but the idea is that we can all come to God. We can go directly to God. We don't have to go through a building, through a church, through a synagogue, through a rabbi, through anyone. We can be, as he said, korban. What korban means to draw near from the word karov, to draw near. We can all, I have that sense now. I have that sense that everything that I do, he's watching. He's always there. He's always with us. He never leaves us or forsakes us. He has our back. And if only people understood that that's what this is all about. That's the beauty of our faith. That's why Yeshua is so important. And but how do we know? He talked about that book. Will the real Jesus stand up? Is he a Yeshua who looks like a blonde, long blonde hair with blue eyes and hanging on a cross and all beaten? Does he look like, what does he look like? Probably look like an Israeli. He was, and he was not God. Nowhere did he say he was God. Nowhere would any Jew. And the same with Rav Shaul. He never would have said that Jesus was God. They have totally changed his words as well. So, but the issue was that he wanted to get through to us. We all have the slavery of Egypt within us. And every single day we struggle with that slavery. And for each of us, it's a little different. For each of us, there's something within that we struggle with. And I don't always look at it as a bad thing because it really does keep me very humble, which is what God wanted us to be, not to be so proud. Look at me. Look what I believe. I tithe more than you. I keep Shabbat better than you. I have 12 sets of dishes. I have 17 kitchens and 14 houses. Honestly, I'm exaggerating, but we have made ourselves so many rules that it makes us sick. It makes us not want God at all. We throw him out. That's why we keep Yeshua here reminding us about who the true God is, and to come back not to the oral Torah, which we can be so enthralled in, but to the Torah of Moses, the Ten Commandments. So that was a beautiful message. Do you have anything you want to add, Miriam?
It's been a long time that I've heard such a like a focus on Yeshua, and it was good because a lot of people are asking, who is, including me, who was he really? Who is he? Who was he? And we've talked before about it. And the idea, remember we've talked about how both you and your daughter Debbie had an experience with him,
Yeah.
like almost like being in love.
Yeah.
And I also had an experience with him, like that he was looking right into me and the love in his eye. As I was reading a novel, and
Yeah.
I had such an experience of him. And when you look at it, what is that about? And it's he has his he's taking us back to the Torah. So when people say, they misinterpret when it says no one comes to the Father except through me. I remember reading that many times, and that that's why I sort of understand that now. In a way, a lot of people have come to who is the Father but God, the only God in the universe. Many have first come to him, including many Muslims now. There's a great awakening happening in all sorts of places, that Muslims are leaving Islam, and too much persecution, and it's often through Yeshua. It doesn't mean they're doing it's not all right or correct, but there is something. When you look at the whole world, the Christian countries, had that not happened, like the roving hordes in Europe when they were streaming into, breaking down the walls and streaming into Europe and raping and pillaging, like the northern, the Huns and all the Attilas and all of those. It was Christianity that brought a certain sense of, well, they brought a sense of morality, because whether they admit it or not, the Ten Commandments is embedded in it, and Yeshua spoke the Ten Commandments. So it was an interesting. I haven't heard this kind of talk for a long time. So we see who Yeshua, like in that way, you could say he was not, well, great or whatever. In that his influence on the world is unbelievable.
Yeah, it's very true. But it was on our path to knowing the true God. He
Yeah,
brought us,
exactly right.
yeah. But again, if we change anything, and that's one of the things that Christianity does,
Yeah,
it has even changed the Ten Commandments. In most of our synagogues, I would say, we may have the Ten Commandments up there, but it's not part of our liturgical service, which is why we repeat the Ten Commandments in our service,
right, right.
because that's the foundation, that's the basis. That's what we believe very strongly. The foundation is not Jesus hanging on the cross, and by his blood we are freed from our sin. That is nowhere in the Torah, nowhere. But it doesn't mean that we throw out Yeshua, and we have to search for the true Yeshua. Who was he, and what did he teach? So, Mauricio, I'm sure you have some wonderful things to add. Oh, we can't hear you. You have to check your audio. Just do a test of it, and
Can
it'll.
you hear me?
Yes, now we hear
Can you hear
you.
me now? Oh,
Yes.
okay, good. Um, well, it's interesting that this week uh, we are celebrating Pesach on the same date as Christians, and it's interesting um, how how important it is to have that understanding to look Yeshua for what he was.
Right.
Okay. And also the responsibility that we must have to have uh, in studying properly the scriptures. Um, when Nicaea came, uh, honestly, the Concilio of Nicaea, they they rewrite many things. Okay,
Just for people who
and
don't
they
know, that was the Council of Nicaea.
Yeah,
right, from the Roman Empire.
from the Roman Empire. Yeah, the very same who that honestly they kill Jesus.
Yeah,
Okay,
Yeshua.
were Yeshua. Yeah,
Yeah,
they didn't kill a gal. They didn't kill just a simple man. But the problem is that uh, in the future they start to change the story to say that Jews kill
right,
Yeshua. Okay, um, and that it couldn't be because people were at the Seder of Pesach at that moment
right,
when Yeshua was killed. And it's a mandatory not to go for a public judgment. Okay, your duty is to be at the dinner with all the family, eating and celebrating the Seder of Pesach,
yeah.
and
And
then
and also
uh,
because they were under Roman law, the Jews had no right to kill. It was the
yeah,
Romans who had.
yes, and then also we can say that yeah, it's true that Pontius Pilato, I don't know, probably that was changed. Okay, that that they present Pontius Pilato as a man who didn't want really to kill Yeshua. Okay, he because he washed his hands and said, "Oh, okay, do whatever you want." Okay, for us, uh, in Judaism and according to the Torah, we cannot crucify people.
Right. And Pontius Pilate was one of the worst. Rome was even considered bringing him back because he was so bloodthirsty.
Yeah, and so the point is probably that the persons who wrote something about the Roman Empire, okay, they presented Pontius Pilatus just a person not so weak, okay, because if something gets out in a public writing, they can read and search those people who wrote something against Roman Empire. Okay, it's like today. If you
Yeah.
write something against someone who has the power and has the influence, well, uh, supposedly we have a free speech in our societies, but that's not true.
No.
Okay, so and this is the problem of how is everything twist because then uh, they mix up all their customs of sacrificing of because the main point is sacrifice blood and also takes some picture and uh, half true, okay, for example lamb and also uh, just to they mix up the whole korbanot, okay, in Jesus, um, and so they create something. I can remember the word probably in English is exegesis, okay, that they took some part of
Yes.
the book and they mix up everything and they present a cake, okay,
Yeah.
and and
Well, you're
so
talking about exegesis and eisegesis.
yeah,
Like Rabbi used to say, exegesis is when you take a passage and you explain it according to what it
yeah,
says and the context.
yeah,
Eisegesis is when you have a preconceived
exegesis.
idea and you impose your preconceived idea upon the scriptures.
Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah,
So the problem is that they were ruling the world, so they could manage what to teach people. And this is the problem when also rabbinic Judaism didn't want to teach properly
Right.
people.
Right.
Okay. So so the point is that today people make a lot of ideas of what of who was Yeshua and take him just a very preconceived idea and take him out of the context of Torah, of Judaism, of his culture, of his language. It's interesting, for example, I remember the exact Rabbi discussing with the Pope about, oh, Jesus spoke Aramean, not Hebrew. So, and then nobody wants to make a middle point. So, but this is the problem, and that is why probably the prophet said, because of lacking of um, knowledge,
Knowledge.
my people dies.
Yes.
Okay, so and then comes the knowledge and the responsibility of what to do with the knowledge. So in and I've been thinking a lot during these days about what is the message, at least for me, for this time of Pesach.
Right.
Okay, and it's interesting that the prophet Ezekiel um, is talking about some dead bones,
Yeah, the dry
okay,
bones.
the dry bones. They don't have nothing. But it's interesting that there is a process. Okay, God starts to join different bonds. Okay, and then when he joined the bonds, which is a structure. Okay, something that can, because if we don't have bonds, we cannot walk. For example, we
You can't
cannot
stand.
sleep. You cannot stand.
Yeah.
Yeah. So but sometimes we don't see the importance of the bonds because we
Right.
cannot see them.
Yeah.
Okay, but it is so important, and this is the changes that are in our inner, that just you and me knows. Okay, nobody can see nothing out from outside,
Right.
but that holds you, that allows you to stand. Okay, then God starts to join the muscles, the skin, and then he put his ruach. Okay, so it is like, okay, Mauricio, you need to change in your inner part. Okay, to make actions, in the ruach, well, will comes from God. Okay, Eh, so and then this body came alive. Okay, and this is something that happened honestly during the Pesach time. In Exodus, we can read that Israel was a dry bone. Okay, they didn't have life. They didn't have own life. They were slaves. And then God uh, said, "Okay, the medicine to have life. What is uh, the medicine?" Okay, well, Hamoed, okay, you need to reduce your ego. Okay,
I didn't understand.
Yeah, because what is the things that in the Seder we eat, that we don't have hametz, we don't have how
No
do you say
yeast, no leaven.
levadura?
Leaven.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, leaven. So that means the ego.
Right.
Sometimes I believe I have the answers. I believe I have the whole ideas, the better
Right.
things. Okay, things like that.
Right.
And then and these are the preconceived ideas.
Right.
Okay, and that is the hardest part
Mm.
to because how many times I have seen that I am in a mistake,
Mm-hmm.
but takes me so many times to accept.
Tell me about it.
Okay, yeah, and it's sad because sometimes for example, I have a preconceived ideas about 20, 25 years, and then suddenly I can see that all my whole ideas are wrong, and you know how difficult it is sometimes to accept that I was in making mistakes for so many times, and I couldn't, and I was blind. Okay, I was deaf. I was a person with a narrow mind. Okay, so um, in those things is to make the bonds, to join everything. So I ask to God during these days, and that's why probably the Rabbi talk about Psalms. Search me, O Lord.
Mm-hmm.
Look inside of me. Okay. Searching my bones. Okay. Can you imagine if I have osteoporosis spiritual? So that is I need calcium from the Torah.
Yeah, that's right.
So so in at the end also is a process. Uh, Sometimes um, how many times I got deception because I want process in a short term, and sometimes needs time, and something that is something that I have to deal honestly every moment. Oh God, I don't want to eat chocolates. Oh God, I don't want to eat uh you know sugar, and I work in sugar industry. and, and,
That's
and,
funny.
yeah,
Oh, yeah.
and 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 for example, from this time of of hiding the bread, oh, she don't know exactly how I miss the bread. Okay, it's like I don't feel like eating. There is something that is a lack in my food, and things like that. Okay, and but but honestly, sometimes I do really need that things are like no here comes here. Uh, so uh, may God help us during this time to search
Yes.
what kind of things we need to change. We
Yeah.
need to look inside and take the decisions to make it. Uh, we make the actions. God put the the ruach, the spirit. Okay, um, and also that we can start to see things for what they are. Yeshua was a great rabbi, and as a rabbi used to say, he was a very important historical person in
Mm-hmm.
the world who changed honestly the story of all humankind.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. he brings to the world the values of the Torah.
Mm-hmm.
For example, prior Yeshua, for people to murder was something that who cares? Okay. That was very common to kill people, at the streets. I remember, for example, in my country, I remember how people, they have swords, and when somebody ego was touched, they have the right to call to combat to other person, uh, to defend their honor, for example. So the value of life was very poor. Okay. Then Yeshua also uh, gave us the idea of have one God, one giver of life, and that the whole believings, okay, at least uh, the influence that he have over all religions in the world was, oh, that the religions must help people to grow, okay, come close to God, to idea of a God, but also to have better relationship between humans. For example, if today comes a religion, okay, that present themselves, I don't know, for example, about the religions, but what happened, for example, with some religions that teach you to kill people, for example, nobody wants to go there because they don't sell. Who brings this idea of of come close to a God who helps people? Yeshua. Why? Because that comes from the Torah. Okay, so the influence that he made is incredible. Also, he brings the idea of having a rest day, for example, of the Shabbat. Prior, people work every day, all moment. Okay, they
Mm-hmm.
were slaves.
Mm-hmm.
Can you imagine?
Still today.
So because yeah, but the idea, and everybody in the story, storytellers say that the idea of having one day of rest comes from the Bible, and
Mm-hmm.
that is coming from the Torah. Who teach that? Yeshua.
Yeah.
Uh,
But the
so,
peace,
so yeah, there are so many things that he brings to humankind.
yeah.
Okay.
But the peace that he brought is not like the peace of the 60s. Peace and love,
Yeah.
peace and love. That wasn't,
Yeah.
because if you look at his Talmidim, those he chose, they were pretty strong guys. He told them to take a sword with them when they go out. The two
Yeah.
of them were called the sons of thunder. Yehuda, Judas Ishkariot, was a Sicarii. He was a paid assassin. These were
Yeah.
these were tough guys. They weren't all peace and love, but they were coming to a God who understood about true shalom was something from within. It
Yeah.
was not an external mascara, like he said, a mask of peace and love, but behind they stab you in the back.
Yeah. And but the point is that we can recognize, for example, who was Yeshua when we start to read, for example, the Torah. If you read, for example, Yeshua's life without Torah, what happened? Then you will not understand nothing about what he said. Okay.
Right.
So that is why for me it's very important. During these days, uh, because in the Spanish group sometimes they start to ask me some of the New Testament, okay, called New Testament for Christians, about what Yeshua said. When I start to reread, okay, after many years, now I can see so many things that Yeshua said that people can understand completely different if you take out Torah. But that is why it's very important to read, to study, and you know, sometimes also because I was thinking about this during this week, because is faith, okay, but also work, okay. Okay, show me your work, I will tell you my faith, and I will tell you my faith, and I will show you my work.
Right.
So both things are important. If we don't do both things, so then we are still probably we have bones, we have skin, but we are dead. Okay, and if we have the ruach, but there is no bones, there is no, so it's just air. Okay, so and that comes because sometimes people uh, eh, people said, oh, you for example, um, during this week, for example, I remember I uh, I come for example, for a person who had a problem with the kid. Okay, I heard the story, and also I pray for that person, but I recommend to go to a doctor. Okay, because the episodes the kid had, he start to see demons and things like that. Okay, 10 years old. And so when you see those things, honestly, you start to think, okay, what should I do? Just to show the Torah, and because it's sad how people believe things. For example, people start to believe in things like going to some religious people to exorcise this guy, this little boy. When you start to see that probably there is a problem, that requires to go to the doctor just to see if there is something in the body.
Right.
Yeah.
Maybe a tumor.
Things, yeah,
Or
maybe tumor, whatever.
maybe
Okay.
schizophrenia.
Yeah. So the point is, what should I do? Okay, faith, yes, it's important, but also we need to move, okay, to make additional things.
Right. James
Okay,
said,
that is,
Yaakov said, faith without works is dead.
yeah.
Yeah.
So, and this is very important also in Pesach, okay?
Right.
That is why the dead body becomes alive,
Right.
okay? It's important activities, it's important to make things, but also to have the spirit. And the spirit comes from where? From reading the Torah, from hearing the voice. I remember that Rabbi Yeshua said, from where comes the faith? From hearing, he said.
Right.
And from hearing what? The word of God. And what is the word of God? It's the Torah.
Torah.
Okay.
Exactly.
So that is why I'm telling you this. Yeah, works and faith.
Exactly.
Both are complementary.
Exactly.
Okay.
And there's a proverb that says, trust in the Lord with all your heart. Don't lean on your own understanding. In all your ways, acknowledge him, and he will direct your path. He will make your path straight. Do not be wise in your own eyes. Fear God, turn from evil. This way will bring health to your body and nourishment to your bones. It's all about trusting, learning how to walk with God, trusting in him, and understanding that there are so many things that we still need to learn from the scriptures, from the Torah. If Yeshua says something that looks like it goes against the Torah, maybe it was added. Maybe some monk sat down and reinterpreted things and changed the New Testament in some way. We have to really always go back.
And also, it's another language. Okay.
Exactly. Yeah. Because Hebrew is a language of pictures. A picture paints 1,000 words. You could look at one picture and see something completely different than I see and Miriam sees. That's why the rabbis always say, you're right, you're right, you're right, and you're right. You know, we can all be right about the same thing. It's multifaceted, which is so wonderful because we keep learning. So, welcome back, Mauricio. Thank you for participating today. Miriam, Alejandro, and Yanette will be away for the next 2 weeks. They're going on vacation. So, Mauricio, I think you're speaking next week on Shemini.
Yeah.
Good,
Yeah.
wonderful. And I'll send you your Torah portion because it's easier when you're here. And so I wish everybody a Shabbat Shalom and the rest of Pesach. Enjoy Pesach. And let's keep searching our hearts. And let me tell you, it's not an easy thing to do. God wants us to get rid of the things that keep our Egypt in us. But he helps us to get rid of it. And it's not an easy process. We're not going to lie. It's not like this, abracadabra, hocus pocus. There's no hocus pocus here. We got to work for it. So anyway,
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
See you in 3 weeks.
We'll see you in
Buenas vacaciones.
Yeah,
We'll
have
see you
a
in
great
3 weeks.
vacation.
Yes.
Yes. All right. Have a wonderful vacation.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Bye-bye.
Shabbat
Shabbat
Shalom.
shalom.
Shabbat
Shalom.
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 Bye bye.